Hi guys, so I'm going to be talking about our propaganda poster project that you'll be working on today, and that is due tomorrow on Friday. So let's do a little review first. So what is propaganda? Remember, propaganda, one of our vocab words, is the organized spreading of information to try to persuade people to think a certain way, right? Remember, propaganda was trying to get people to contribute to the war effort. Um, Remember, for example, propaganda was used to make Americans help pay for the war. So a lot of propaganda at this time was in the form of posters, but there was also movies, songs that were made, lots of different types. They were just getting people, remember, to be more patriotic and help with the war. So let's watch this video.
The Great War, Through a London Child's Eye.
June the 1st, 1916. Grandmother has been visiting us, which is tremendous fun. She came in her motor car and I was allowed a ride. The best part is when she and Mother are talking in the evening when they think I've gone to bed. Adults talk about all sorts when they think children aren't listening.
Did you see that terrible report in the Times? People in Germany hounding families from their homes if they were thought to have British relatives. I don't believe everything I read in the paper, Mother. Certainly not during a war. What exactly are you suggesting? I suppose you think the sinking of the Lusitania last year was invented? All those innocent people killed. 1,000, they said. Was that fiction? A figment of the Prime Minister's imagination? Of course not. I just believe most Germans are people too, not monsters. But I suppose it's easier to fight someone you think is a monster. That's Bolshevik talk, and I shall pretend I didn't hear that. You only have to glance at the front page to see the state of affairs and how well things are going. A new victory almost every day. You forget I work at the censor office. I see how the soldiers at the front describe the war, and it's not always such a pretty picture. Well, I'm sure the government and the newspaper wouldn't tell lies about the war. All I am saying is I think the government needs people to keep joining up, and so they'll paint things a certain way. That's all I'm suggesting, Mother. I'm certain the Germans tell their people the most awful untruths about us. Well, you'd expect no less from the Hun, whereas we are beyond reproach. Well, this tea isn't beyond reproach. It's far too weak. Fetch me another.
Grandmother's comments made me think about the posters I've seen encouraging men to join up. They make it look like a terrific adventure. The posters have women and children waving them off with a smile too. Some of the posters even seem to make a man feel guilty if he did not join up, saying how it is their duty to do so, and how the children would be embarrassed if they did not. I thought I would ask Sid what he thought. So Sid, you seen those posters about joining up? Don't you think they make it all look, I don't know, rather more exciting than it is? I mean, your brother died, and we've seen all the injured men.
It makes me even more desperate to get to the front and have my mother as proud as her on the poster.
I thought she said she'd box your ears if you did.
Yes, and you know what? I think she has spies follow me every step. Every time I go near a recruiting office, one of her friends pops up. Oh, Sydney, fancy seeing you here.
But you're still not old enough to join up.
Yeah, but they need men so badly. I'm told you barely need to lie at all. Just stand tall, put on a gruff voice. I'll get there. And whatever she says now, when she sees me in the khaki, she'll be proud as punch.
I'm sure you're right, old pal. The more I looked around, the more posters I seemed to see. Not just trying to get the men to join up, but encouraging us to grow vegetables, encouraging women to help in the public kitchens, telling us to all save fuel and not buy more than we need. Maybe when the war is over, we won't be told what to do as much. The day can't come soon enough for me.
The Great War, Through a London Child's Eye. Supported by the National Lottery through the Heritage Lottery Fund. Read Edward's diary at funkidslive.com/Great War.
So that video is just showing even it was propaganda appealed to all different types of people, like the grandma and the kid, and it's just trying to get everyone to help with the war effort. But it also showed us that, just reminded us that propaganda really makes your side look very positive and the other side look bad. So the mom was saying that the British propaganda was making the German side look bad, but then she also said that the German propaganda probably made the British side look bad. So just something to remember. So we're going to talk about what are the different types of propaganda that we saw during World War I. So if we look at what they were trying to do, one, they were trying to get men to join the army and help fight in the war. Number two, they were trying to have people buy war bonds. Remember, those war bonds were how the war, they got money to pay for the war. Number three, they were trying to get people to save their supplies and then donate stuff to the war, like food, coal, and other household supplies. And number four, they tried to get people to make supplies to help with the war, whether they were growing food, like in farming, or making things in factories. So now we're going to look at a page in our textbook about why does propaganda work and how do they use it to help. So we're going to go over to our textbook. So we're going to be on one of our last pages of the book, or of our chapter. So if you go in this on your own, it is page 305. So I'm going to play the audio, and then this is something that will help us when we make our own propaganda posters.
During World War I, national governments created propaganda to spark feelings such as pride, determination, anger, compassion, sadness, and hatred. Below are several common persuasion strategies. 1. Emotional appeal. Appealing to the heart instead of making an argument with evidence. Emotional appeals inspire strong feelings, which can be positive, pride or determination, or negative, fear or hatred. Emotional appeals often encourage people to take action. 2. Bandwagon. Convincing people of two things: that everybody is doing something, so it must be a good idea, jumping on the bandwagon, and that you don't want to be left behind by not doing this thing. 3. Demonizing. Describing or portraying the opponent as evil or something to hate. 4. Glittering generality. Making pleasing statements, often using catchy phrases, slogans, or songs, jingles, that appeal to an audience's beliefs and values. These statements are not specific and don't have much real meaning. 5. Name calling. Using negative words or labels to create a negative attitude towards some person, group, or idea. Name-calling encourages people to reach a conclusion without thinking or examining evidence.
So those are some things that propaganda was trying to do to really, that's what they were doing, and that's why it was working. So these are things that you'll want to include in your poster. Appealing to people's emotion, encouraging people to do it because everyone else is doing it, right? And you don't want to be left behind, making the other side look evil or bad, just making like catchy phrases or songs, right? We can all sing jingles of different companies that we hear on the radio or on TV that just get stuck in your head. And then we also use name calling, right? We use negative words to make people think negative thoughts about one side, and then we use positive names to help people support what you want them to think. Okay, so here are some examples of propaganda posters from World War I that I want you guys to look at and get some ideas, right? What do you see? What do you notice? So I noticed that these three propaganda posters all are trying to get people to fight for the war, right? I want you for the U.S. Army. There is still a place for you and place in the line for you. Will you fill it, right? This space is reserved for a fit man. And then I'm doing my duty. Are you? Your Navy needs you this minute. Okay? Let's look at some more. What do you see? What do you notice? So these ones are all trying to get people to save supplies or food, right, to help the war effort. So this one says save the wheat and help the fleet, like army boats, navy boats, I mean. It says eat less bread. This one says we are saving you, save food. Well-fed soldiers will win the war. And this last one, be patriotic, sign your country's pledge to save food. Okay, one more set. Let's look at these. Like, what do you see? What do you notice? What are they trying to get you to do? So this one here, I notice that she's wearing an American flag for the dress, and it says, sow the seeds of victory, plant and raise your own vegetables. Right? You, and it's the Statue of Liberty pointing, buy a liberty bond lest I perish, right? So don't let Statue of Lady Liberty die, right? Buy a liberty bond, buy a war bond. This last one, remember the flag of liberty, support it. Buy U.S. government bonds, right? And then it tells you where to go, right? So there's the flag, there's an important looking person, women, children, right? Trying to get everyone to do it. So what did you notice about those examples, right? What colors did you see? What symbols, right? I saw American flags. I saw people of all ages, right? I noticed a lot of red, white, blue. Those kind of even the subtle things, right? Those are the things that really made those posters convincing. So now it's your turn. So up here, I made my own little propaganda poster, right? It says, I want you to make a propaganda poster. So your project is you will create a propaganda poster. You can use Notability, Google Slides, or do it on paper and then take a picture of it. And then you will turn this in on Schoology. So you'll either upload it, or if you do it on paper, you can take a picture and upload that picture. So your poster must be one of the 4 types from slide 4. So trying to get people to fight, trying to get people to save food, right? Buy Liberty bonds. It must include both words and pictures. So your poster needs to have words and pictures on it. It needs to be 1 full page. It needs to be patriotic. Remember, that's like supporting of American spirit, right? So include things like red, white, and blue colors, the American flags, bald eagles, Uncle Sam. This guy is Uncle Sam. And then your poster needs to make people want to do something, right, to help the war effort. So let's look at some examples. So these are examples that I made. So I made these on Google Slides, but like I said, yours can be done on paper or Notability or in Google Slides as well. So this first one I made, it says, I want you to buy war bonds. Right? And then on the bottom it says, go buy war bonds. And this one, be like the sodbusters and farm, grow your own food to save food for our men. It's a guy farming saying, I can't fight, but I can grow food to feed our boys, and you can too, right? So telling them to be American, go buy war bonds, and help the war by growing food. So if you have any questions, let me or Mr. Jimmy know, but good luck and be as creative as you guys would like.